The Common Sense Conservatives are led by Pierre Poilievre, the next Prime Minister of Canada. And here's your chance to meet the rest of the Common Sense Conservatives who will restore the promise of Canada by axing the tax, building the homes, fixing the budget, and stopping the crime. Well, today on Meet the Common Sense Conservatives, we have with us our Shadow Minister for Industry, Rick Perkins. And Rick's from Nova Scotia and a good friend of mine. And Rick, we want to just have you here today and tell us a little bit about some of the work that you're doing on your file in industry.
Well, industry, we got a lot of things on the go. Obviously, every business is part of industry. But one of the most interesting things we've been dealing with in committee is something that your viewers have probably heard of quite a bit of, the Green Slush Fund. The Green Slush Fund. This is the $1 billion slush fund that the Liberals have used. They put a bunch of Liberals on the board, and they voted themselves over $150 million of taxpayer money that went into companies that they own themselves. They call it managing conflicts in the Trudeau PMO. Obviously, a guy who's been convicted 3 times of ethic breaches sort of sets the standards for these organizations when he appoints a bunch of Liberals, and it's okay for them to say, you know what, we're supposed to be helping out green technology companies. Hey, I own one. Let's give some of that taxpayer money to me.
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic. These Liberals, it's like they just treat taxpayer money like it's just a slush fund for themselves.
Well, their own,
right? Yeah.
Like it's their money, not their money. They think it's Liberal money to benefit themselves, to ensure that their own financial interests are what benefit from being in government instead of taxpayers and citizens' interests. They're not looking out for. They're just padding their own pockets. It's pure corruption.
Yeah, and it's what differentiates us, from Liberals to Conservatives. You know, Liberals, like you say, it's all about getting rich, getting their friends rich, and for us, it's all about making sure that Canadians have better opportunities.
Exactly. Right? And that's why we've been digging really hard into this. We'll have some more meetings coming up on it. The Auditor General, we've called the Auditor General in, and the Auditor General's got a report coming out on the Liberal Green Slush Fund in June. So we're very much looking forward to what the Auditor General manages to find.
Well, thank you for all the hard work that you're doing digging into some of that Liberal corruption and scandal, Rick. And while I've got you here, I know as people know, my file is Veterans Affairs, and I know that you've got family history, a proud family history of military service. So maybe just tell us a little bit about your family's history.
I don't know if your viewers know that almost 2/3 of the military actually come from primarily New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, and it's a deep and rich tradition. My great uncle served in both World War I and World War II. He was injured on the battlefield in France in World War I in the trenches, and his hip got repaired. My second cousin, my mom's cousin, was the only person from their community, Chester Basin in Nova Scotia, that was killed in World War II in the Battle of the Falaise Gap. I was the 3rd member of our family to visit his site of burial in France by the battlefield. I know you've been to them. It's an incredibly moving experience to go, but it's really more incredible and really quite emotional when it's one of your family members.
Yeah, I can only imagine. As you say, I've had the opportunity to visit as well, and it is something I wish every Canadian had the chance to do. And we honor the sacrifice made by your family member. We honor the service of your family members.
I'd be remiss. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, since we're on the subject, my nephew Scott Maskell, who's in the Navy, and he's a submariner. He's actually on the Windsor. That's his job. So if you've ever been or had a chance to be on one of these submarines, it ain't no hunt for Red October. They're really cramped.
Well, I'll tell you, thank him as well for the service that he does for our country. It's it's something that we as Conservatives value, and it's why we're standing up for our men and women who serve in uniform. Well, Rick, while we've got you here, want to give you a chance to. There's got to be some fun facts back. He's all politics all the time, this guy. But tell us something really interesting about yourself that maybe people don't.
Well, I'm sure people won't associate me with this kind of story, but. In my youth, in my early 20s, I was a roadie with George Thorogood. If you know George Thorogood, Bad to the Bone, One Bourbon, One Scotch, One Beer, great songs. So I was on the road as a roadie with him, and Well, it's quite an experience, most of which I can't tell on a video.
You probably don't want to tell on the video anyway, but it would have been a heck of an experience, I have no doubt. And yeah, that's, those are some pretty classic songs.
Yeah.
So to have been a small part of that would have been, it's got to be quite an experience. Yeah.
It was fun. He's quite a guy. He's still on the road.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Rick, and thank you so much for all the hard work that you're doing.
And you as well. You're doing an amazing job on behalf of our veterans. I think we're the only party that really, truly, in their bones and DNA, care about our veterans.
Well, we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and we're up to the task. We're ready to get at it. We just got to get an election and make this change and put Pierre Poilievre in as our next Prime Minister of Canada, and we can get to work.
Well, bring it home.
Bring it home. Common Sense Conservatives will continue to hold Justin Trudeau to account. Do you want to hear more updates like this one? Subscribe to this page as we continue to fight for you.